Welcome to the Freely Rooted Mama podcast. Where I am their mother, I make the choice. Happy Thursday, mamas. Welcome to another episode. Today, I'm going to be talking about financial planning for pregnancy, which I know is kind of an odd subject, but I got this request on my newsletter to go into the different aspects of planning for pregnancy. And so while there's the physical and emotional pieces that I want to go into, I also thought I'd just start with the financial piece, because when Justin and I sat down and decided we were ready to have kids, one of the first things, because we'd been in the health world for so long and we'd been working on our mental and emotional piece, the one piece that we sat down and really talked about was the financial piece of having a baby. So I kind of broke it into different categories. I'm not going to go into wild amounts of detail on each category, but just something to start thinking about if you and your significant other, your spouse, or you alone are thinking about having a baby. Here's some things to consider to kind of budget for when it comes to having a child. So the first thing, of course, is healthy foods. I will go into this concept on a much deeper level in many other episodes here in the future, but if you are already leading a pretty healthy food, nutrition, lifestyle, then this would just be continued throughout your pregnancy. If this is something new for you, I would really recommend that as you're in this preparation phase of deciding to get pregnant and conceive, this is when you want to make the switch to really trying to buy organic. I'm going to go back to what I said in a previous episode, is organic is not meant to be this hoity-toity thing. It's really unfortunate that the financial cost is a lot more to buy organic. I do understand that. However, there's so many repercussions that come from non-organic food. And I mean that on purely a health level of what it does to our microbiome, what it does to our digestive system, what it does to our brain health. What happens when you eat food that is sprayed with glyphosate, just on a very high level. When you eat food that's sprayed with glyphosate, which is typically non-organic, granted, some organic crops do get some dusting of glyphosate when it's sprayed. So if you have an organic crop next to a non-organic crop, there could be some spray that goes over to the organic crop. So I'll give a little tip and trick on how to help with that. But what happens to your digestive system is you consume that and the glyphosate starts to create holes in your gut lining. And when you have holes in your gut lining, basically inflammation can go through the roof. And we know that our gut-brain connection is so important. So your neurotransmitters, your hormones, all of that stuff gets created in the gut. And if it can't be created, or it's got so much inflammation and so many problems in the gut that it can't communicate to the brain, you start to get a breakdown. So buying organic is important. However, if money is an issue, this is where I would really try to follow the Dirty Dozen list, which is a list of foods that you really want to make sure that you buy organic, and then a list of foods that are a little bit less sprayed and that you could probably get away with buying non-organic. The other thing is you can buy, when you bring your produce home, wash all your produce in filtered water mixed with white vinegar. Leave it to soak in your sink for 30 minutes. That's a great way to try to get rid of a layer of that glyphosate that gets sprayed. The other thing about non-organic food is, it can be genetically modified. So there's a lot of other factors other than just being sprayed with glyphosate. Yeah, that's kind of my thing about organic. So if you can, when you're planning to get pregnant and start conceiving, switch to organic. The gut microbiome is so important during pregnancy, and I'll talk about that in other episodes, but that would be one thing that I really recommend. Oh, and if you aren't able to buy organic foods, or that during pregnancy, or when you're starting to conceive, that you might go out to a restaurant and it's not organic, this is where Ion Biome is a life-saving product, because it will help go seal those tight junctions back in the gut, and it'll help protect the gut lining. So Ion Biome is a staple. I carry one in my purse. I carry one in my backpack. I have it here in the cupboard. I give it to my pets. Again, I talked about Ion Biome the other day, or on another episode of toddler swaps. And I'll go into Ion Biome in a deeper level at some point, but it's incredible. Definitely always want it on hand. And then in terms of healthy foods, the other thing to consider is hormone-free meats. So again, you're just wanting to avoid all the antibiotics and hormones that they pump into our meats. You don't want that going into your digestive system, because it can affect, baby. So I'll just kind of leave that on healthy foods. So in terms of budgeting and financial planning, think about the fact that if you can make that switch to pay a little bit more for those healthier foods while you're pregnant. The second thing is supplements. Again, I will do a whole episode on what I've done for supplements in the past during my pregnancy and what I've done pre-pregnancy to conceive, but just kind of knowing that you're gonna probably take some supplements. All of us are deficient in many things these days. Unfortunately, our soils are depleted of minerals. A lot of us are vitamin D deficient, as we learned over the past 3 years. If you're a vegetarian, you might need to supplement with some aminos and some healthy fats to make sure that you've got all the right ratios. And I'll have an episode where I break down like how much you're needing of each nutrient during each trimester of pregnancy. So follow along for those episodes still to come, but just know that supplements are probably going to be included. Everybody is different. So again, I'll go over what I've done in the past, but every single human is different. So this will vary from person to person. The other thing I highly recommend that you ready to budget for is chiropractic. If you're not already seeing a chiropractor, great thing to see once I think chiropractic is like the most amazing thing ever. And it is part of like our daily health regimen, we don't go to the chiropractor daily, but it's part of our health regimen. Like chiropractic is just always included. Chiropractic saved my life. I have a whole chiropractic amazing story. But if you're not seeing a chiropractor, I would really start recommending that once you are going to start trying to conceive, that would be the time to start going and seeing a chiropractor, definitely during pregnancy, definitely postpartum, and definitely for baby. And in upcoming episodes, I'm actually going to bring on the chiropractor that adjusted me and I worked with for many years to talk about why it's so important to have chiropractic during pregnancy, postpartum, and for babies. But that would be something I would budget in. And if you can, make sure your chiropractor is Webster certified. Then the next thing is prenatal massage, literally life-saving. Right now in this pregnancy that I'm having, it's life-saving. I know, again, it kind of seems like this like luxurious thing, right? We kind of live in this world where like massage and things like that for self-care are luxurious, but truly, especially when you get into your later trimesters and your body is, adjusting like, my belly is getting big, my back and my obliques are compensating for the fact that my core is disappearing, my hips hurt. Granted, this pregnancy, I would say I have a lot more like hip pain and pelvic pain than I did with my first pregnancy because I'm now carrying around a toddler and chasing a toddler all day. But it's literally life-saving. Through my first pregnancy with Isaac, I had a massage every month. And then I think the last month or so of my pregnancy, I had it every 2 weeks. So I probably did that like 3 times. And then with this pregnancy, I've been doing it every month and I'm just about to hit every 2 weeks. And I'm doing it every 2 weeks, like 2 months out, just because, like I said, it's a little bit harder with this one being my second. But life-saving, if you can get somebody that's certified or like knows a lot more about the pregnant body, or at least somebody who's been pregnant before, so they kind of understand the anatomy and like what your body's doing, how things are changing, how your hormones are contributing to what's happening in your body. It's just really helpful. So if you can find somebody that's like certified in prenatal massage, even better. And if they've got like the belly thing where you can go flat on, lay face down. If you're, especially for me, I was a stomach sleeper long before I had kids. So anyway, for me, once you're so pregnant that you can't lay on your stomach anymore, like that 20, 30 minutes that they let you lay on your stomach is literal bliss. So recommend that. Physical therapy. This is something I actually personally haven't done yet, but I will be doing after I'm done with this pregnancy. I wish I actually would have done it after my pregnancy with Isaac. Physical therapy is more than just like rehabilitation, especially when it comes to pregnancy and having babies. They really help teach you how to start breathing and how to re-engage that core and how to really work on lifting the pelvic floor. All things that, seem easy, like you could do on your own. And you can. There's some great accounts that I have on here that you can follow. And I did follow some of them after my pregnancy with Isaac. However, I feel like I need more discipline in this area just because I'm noticing so much more pelvic pain this round that I want to go see somebody after this birth. Again, things like leaking or peeing when you cough or peeing when you get on the trampoline, like all the things that we hear our mothers and grandmothers talk about in their stories. I mean, those things are real. Like, I mean, not to be TMI here, but the other night with this like lingering congestion, cough, voice thing that I have going on, I woke up in the middle of the night and like was like coughing so hard, and I realized I had to go to the bathroom, got up, coughed, literally peed my pants. And that right there was a key indicator of, okay, I have to work on like that pelvic re-engagement. Like right now is not the time because things are starting to loosen up, and you don't want the pelvic floor to be super tight as you go into birth. But after birth and continuing on, you want to work on those muscles and you want to re-engage them properly. So physical therapy, super helpful in that. And some of the accounts that I've followed to just get some tips on physical therapy is the Movement Mama, the Vagina Whisperer, and the Bell Method. And so I'll link those in the show notes below so you can kind of check out their accounts. Okay, the next thing is the birth itself. You know, are you using insurance and going through a hospital? Are you using a birth center that takes insurance? Are you using a midwife or birth center that doesn't take insurance? These are all things that you want to start to look at, think about, plan, research, you know, what can you do? Our first birth with Isaac, just to help give you some ideas if these are things you're thinking about. Our first birth with Isaac, when we did the birthing center, they did not take insurance, but they helped super bill after the birth. So, and I think it was about $6,000 to do for our care from the very start all the way to the end, and then the 6 weeks postpartum appointments that we had. So we actually opened up at the time, like living in California with our mortgage and just our life. We didn't have $6,000 extra dollars, but we knew that having a midwife and doing it at a birthing center is exactly what we wanted. So we opened up a credit card that had 0% interest for 18 months, and we paid it off in like 6 months or 7 months. We just got super diligent about paying that off. So, you know, just an idea, not that I'm a big advocate for opening up a bunch of credit cards, but that was what we did. With this birth, our midwife, they accept insurance. So, you know, we were able to get a look at like what that would look like using our insurance and how much we'd have to pay. I think this round we pay about $2,000 out of pocket. But from our last birth, we kind of had an idea of our overall expenses. So as we started to, after we had Isaac, we just made an account where we started to put money away for when we knew we were ready to have the next one. And we'll do the same thing after this one. We'll take that same account and we'll start putting money back in there for the birth of our third child. And then a doula. I highly recommend a doula. I can't say enough about having a doula, having a support team. I mean, I've talked about it on other episodes. You know, if you have, like we are very blessed to have a very great friend who's our doula, so we didn't have to pay for a doula. One of my good friends, I know that she had a doula, and I think it was about $1,000 or $1,500 for the doula. And they really get to know you during that process, and then they're there for the whole birth. I find them life-changing. I think everybody needs one. Even if you have a great friend, and again, I'm going to go back to make sure it's somebody that you can be open, you can be honest, you can be 100% yourself, that is there to support you, that it's not there for their own, you know, that none of their worries, their issues. Like if you're going to use a friend, great. Okay, but that friend better not be talking about her, you know, boyfriend troubles or how annoying her kids are or how hard work is, any of that during this process. Like it should all be about you. So that's what I'll say on a doula. And then my last two categories that I'm sure there are many things that I'm missing in all of this, but as I was trying to break down like, oh, financially, like what we set aside for and what we kind of set aside for this pregnancy, the baby, you know, setting aside money if, you know, you need to do a lactation consultant after you give birth. And sometimes the hospital or birthing centers, they have those people on staff that are maybe included in your care. If you need to go to a biological dentist, or I guess it doesn't have to be a biological dentist. We just usually choose biological dentists. But if you've got a tongue tie or lip tie situation that might need to be clipped, might consider that. Like I know here in our area, when we took Isaac in to double check, because I thought maybe he might have a tongue tie, it was about like $600 if they were going to have to clip that. So just, you know, maybe start researching those things in your area. And if you don't need it, then it's extra money, right? But just things to think about so it doesn't I feel like as a new mother, or even as you're going through the pregnancy, there's a million other things that you want to be focusing on than being stressed out about finances. So I'm just trying to give you some ideas to think about and to consider if you're thinking about having a baby. And then car seats. I mean, I know you'll get a lot of things from your baby showers and stuff like that, but car seats, like Isaac grew out of his infant car seat at about maybe about a year. So we had time, and now we get to use his infant car seat for the next one, but car seats are expensive, so I just kind of threw that in there because they're not cheap. Also, if you go follow Mom Safe in the Seat or Safe in the Car Seat, I think it's Safe in the Car Seat. She's amazing. She's a wealth of information. She can also give you a guide of all the non-toxic car seats out there, which I found super helpful. I'll link her profile below too, but I've purchased all of our car seats through the guidance of her. So just a little random tidbit there. The last thing is clothing. So as you know, as a woman, as you get pregnant and you start to grow, you are going to need different size clothing, bigger bras, bigger underwear, bigger pants, bigger shirts. I actually just hit the point in this pregnancy because I'm so much bigger in this one than I was with Isaac, where I had a t-shirt on the other day, and it's not a crop top, but it shows like right below the belly button, like the whole stomach. Like I don't have many t-shirts that fit. And my sister-in-law was over and she's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go buy you some large t-shirts because this is really sad. And my husband likes to make fun of me. But like this pregnancy, I'm having to buy a couple different pieces that I didn't need my last one. The weather also impacts. So my last pregnancy, I was pregnant during sunshine and warm weather, so I had a lot of shorts. Honestly, I sat outside in my swimsuit a lot and got a lot of vitamin D, or my sports bra and like cloth shorts. This time around, I'm pregnant during winter. So things like winter clothing, like it snowed back in January and my snow pants don't go up over my butt. And my snow jacket doesn't zip up. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, yeah, like we need to like this summer when snow stuff is on sale, we're going to go buy a pair of men's large, like jumper snowsuit. So the next time I'm pregnant and it's winter, I don't have to worry about these things. So it seems like obvious, but then I'm the type of person that I'm like, oh, I don't really want to spend money on that because I'm only going to need it for a couple months. But then, here I am on my second pregnancy and I really could have used some of these staples again. So just things to think about in terms of budgeting, that you are going to need some bigger bras, some bigger underwear, bigger clothing, and take into account the seasons that you're in. And just for kicks and giggles, the 3 companies that I love to buy from that are organic are Love Pact, Isabel Oliver, and Kindred Bravely. Kindred Bravely. I'll link them in the show notes below. So I hope that's helpful, just to kind of a high level things to consider when you're starting to think about having a baby. Again, I'm all about trying to really help people prepare to where I want your stress to be low during your pregnancy. I don't want cortisol running because you're so stressed out about finances and how you didn't plan for things, or you didn't think that you would need to go to a chiropractor or a physical therapist, or like you don't need massage. But if you can start to set money aside and you can start to plan that way, I would highly recommend all the things that I mentioned. So with that, I hope that's helpful. I'll go into planning for pregnancy in terms of health, whether that's physical, mental, and emotional on the next upcoming episodes. If you have any feedback, if you have any topics that you want me to cover, this is a perfect way. Find me on Instagram, DM me, or subscribe to my email. And there's a spot in there where you can go write your suggestions, because that's how I got the suggestion for this episode. And I would love to hear what you guys want to know more about.